Let's bring in House Minority Whip Steve Scalise to help us with that. You know, Steve, we had Governor Mike Huckabee on earlier, and he pointed out, which is simply a fact, that media organizations don't validate presidencies. Ultimately, it's voters and electors that do. So there's a legal challenge coming from the president right now. Where do you believe we are on this, and as far as it pertains to evidence and challenges?
Oh, well, good morning. Good to be with you. And
we're
really at the beginning of the legal side of this. Of course, you had election night Tuesday night. Then you had some states still counting. Some very questionable things happen, especially when you look at many states that have the laws that allow a poll watcher to watch the counting. It's a part of the transparency process. That's a law in most states. That was not being followed. They were not allowing Trump's poll watchers to watch what was going on. And, what are you doing behind closed doors where you're afraid to let other people watch you when the law says you have to? Clearly, the Pennsylvania law, which is clear, after 8 p.m. on Tuesday night, ballots can't be counted, yet they were counting those ballots. The Supreme Court said you have to keep them separate. There were questions of whether or not they've separated all of those ballots, and the Secretary of State has yet to say how many they are. She'll say, well, we don't think it's enough to be outside the margin. Well, then how many is it? Why aren't they transparent about these things? These are laws on states' books that aren't being followed. Dead people have clearly been identified as having cast ballots. These are all things that raise very serious concerns, and it's part of the legal process. You go back to Bush v. Gore, it wasn't until the second week of December that got resolved by the courts. So, you can see there's still a lot of these cases that have to be made and let the courts resolve these disputes.
Congressman, I want to ask you about some of the results and what we've seen in the House. House Republicans have really chipped away at that Democrat majority. They flipped at least 8 House seats, many of them won by female GOP candidates. We have a bit of a montage from 2 Congresswomen-elects. I want to play that for you, and then we'll talk about it.
I'm an everyday Iowan, and that's really what it came down to. I listened to the concerns of the people in my district, and I think it was a very clear message that they said they're tired of the left-leaning rhetoric about Medicare for all, a Green New Deal, and Nancy Pelosi's stalling of much-needed aid for Iowa families.
It all comes down to that America First agenda, making it so that Americans can make the best decisions for themselves and their families. I don't believe that a big bureaucratic government is best suited for that, and my constituents don't either. So having that message, really empowering people and making it so that there's equal opportunity out there rather than equal outcome.
Your response to these election wins in the House?
Yeah, we got some great new members coming in this freshman class. I know you ran Ashley HINSON there in Iowa. I was with her about a week and a half ago campaigning in Iowa, and boy, the energy level on the ground for her and all of these candidates that won was off the charts. They really organized well, and they went up against the stream of the media projections that Nancy Pelosi was going to gain another 10 seats. Instead, the opposite happened. We're probably up by about 10 on our side, and there are a few races on the West Coast that still haven't been called that are leaning our way. So I'm real excited about this freshman class. It's a much more diverse class than we've ever seen before. More women, more African Americans, more Hispanics, Cuban Americans. It's going to be a great group of members to come in and help us fight against the socialist wave that you're seeing on the left. And frankly, internally, they're having some very big fights because Nancy Pelosi drove them so far to the left that a lot of those members got beat in those swing districts, and many of them came close, and we're going to win the House back in 2 years because of how far left they went.
All right, Congressman Steve Scalise, thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you,
sir. Great being with you. Thanks.